remember. He tells a story about playing a baseball game, and he said that before the ball game, he went in the dugout and he snorted 3 lines of Canon. So he's playing a ball game high. And he goes out on the mound, and I'm thinking he's about to tell us that he pitched the worst game of his life. And he says the opposite. He said he pitches the best game of his career. Boom, boom, almost a perfect game. Any baseball fans here? A couple. Okay, so you know what a perfect game is, right? What's a perfect game? No hits. What else? Nobody on base. Right. No hits, nobody on base. And he tells a story about how the crazy thing was he never got caught. He never got caught. But after that, he decided that he could just continue to go on and get high and play the game, get high and play the game. Over time, what do you think happened to him? He got weak. Life fell apart. Family fell apart. Lost his wife, children, everything. And he ended up having to start over. So I'm sitting there listening to him, and I'm like, so what's the moral of this story? You got high, you pitched your best game, but life soon fell apart. And then he hit me with the line that I never forgot. He said, the thing about your integrity is that it's always about doing what you're supposed to do when nobody is looking. Doing what you're supposed to do when nobody is looking. So guys, I'm going to tell you, I went home that night and I kept thinking about that. What does that really mean? And I realized that at that time, I was up in my head. I was living, I was doing whatever it was in my head, and nobody was here with me. Nobody can ever read your thoughts, right? I imagine if you're like me, sometimes, you ever think like a crazy thought? And you figure if somebody knew I was thinking this, they would think I was a madman. Anybody ever had those kind of thoughts? Yeah, so I was that kind of guy. I used to think crazy things, and I used to think that if anybody ever found out, they would think I was a crazy guy. And it used to make me reserved. And after a while, I said, you know what, I got to shift this. I got to make this change. Because at some point, all the stuff in my head is going to catch up to me. So I started opening up my mouth, and I went and had a conversation with one of my instructors. And he gave me something that I'm going to give you today. What I want to really talk to you today about is how you use your time. Now that moment at school shook me awake, and it made me realize that I needed to start doing something better with my time. Remember, I wasn't a bad kid. I wasn't getting into trouble. I was just doing nothing. And I realized that I was going to end up doing a whole lot of nothing if I didn't change my situation around. So what I really want to talk to you guys about today, and I want to hear more from you, is what are you going to do with your time from here on out? Life between now, at the age of, are most of you 16? Okay. I'm going to use that number as like a benchmark. Life between now, the age of 16, and where I am, the age of 42, is short. I was 21. Give her the credit. So, life between now, age 16, and the age of 42, gentlemen, is short. By the time you get to my point in life, you'll feel like those years flew by, passed you by. The only difference is, what will you do with your time? So, what I want to do from this point, I kind of want to hear from you guys. I want to hear about some of the things you want to do with your career. And then, I want to talk about just how you're structuring your time. Y'all with me? Can we have that conversation? Okay. Now, I asked you earlier what school you want to go to. I heard a couple of career paths. I heard that this young man wants to be a veterinarian, right? What's your name? Devin wants to be a veterinarian. Give me some other career goals. What do you want to do?
Sports lawyer.
Sports lawyer. I love it. Graphic design. Nice.
Sports analyst.
Sports analyst. Let me get your names again. What's your name? Chris. Josh. Jalen. Okay, so I'm gonna come right back to you, okay? Was your hand raised? Okay, I'm gonna come right back to you. Sports analysts are like ESPN? Okay. You have a favorite?
Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley? Yeah, Charles is fun. Okay. What's your name, young man?
Mark.
Lamarck. All right. What do you want to do?
I'm going to be a pilot.
Shaking his man's hands. Going to be. I love that. I love that. I'm going to be a pilot. How you going to get there? School. Okay. How many of you have like a study plan that you follow? Wow. Wow. Who studies? Okay. How do you study? Say it again. What's your name? Dorian? Okay. That's how I used to study. Dorian said he looks at the work before the test. You comfortable with doing it that way? Not really. Okay. Who else? How do you study? You don't study. You don't study. You just take the test. No, I mean, we're being honest with each other, right?
Yeah, that's only a certain class.
Okay. So you fail your test, but you do the homework. Okay. How does that work out for you?
Still come out of class like a C.
Still come out of the class with like a C.
Yeah, but there's only a class on the right like that.
Okay. Let me hear from a couple more people. How do you study? What's your name, Evan? Deontay. Okay, what do you mean? Tell me more, Deontay.
For some reason, while I'm in class, certain subjects, I just know the material as soon as they tell me.
So it's like, do you know, that may be a gift. You hear information and you don't lose it. Okay. Don't laugh. I went to school with a young man like that. His name was Billy. And Billy had a photographic memory. He could hear things, see things, and he just retained it. I wish I had that gift. That's a skill. Protect it. One more. Jalen.
I do the homework. Meaning part of when I do the homework, it's registering in my brain. So like, especially with math, I'm doing like a problem or homework, whatever. When I come to this time for the test or quiz, I can do it as far as I know the formula and all that.
Okay. Okay, so fellas, I'm hearing, I heard some things at the beginning of our conversation that I liked. Just about all of you want to go somewhere after high school, right? Just by show of hands, who wants to go to college after high school? That's just about everybody. Okay. Now by a show of hands, how many of you think that you'll do well in college studying the way you study today? Yeah, that's what I expected. Far fewer hands go up. I want to show you some things that hopefully kind of open your eyes as to why we need to change the way you study. But let me ask the question first. If someone were to offer you a plan of study that can help you, one, to raise your grades. Is there anybody who needs to push their GPA up? Okay. If someone could show you a plan that would help you raise your grades and give you the confidence to perform well in college, would you do it? Yeah. Show of hands, how many of you really would do it? Okay. How many of you would do it if it required you to do something every day? All right, that's good. That's good. So we're going to go there in a minute. My wife and I, we have a saying at home, do something daily. Whenever you have a goal that you want to achieve in life, your goal is not just going to pop up somewhere and materialize. You have to do something daily, or you can't just hope for it. Say it again.
Work for it.
You got to work for it. You got to work for it. There's one thing you're going to learn at some point that does not exist in our life, and that's a shortcut. They don't exist. You either do the work and you get there, or you don't do the work and you don't get there. You know? And the one thing that you can be assured of, if you don't use your time constructively, your time will use you. It will. So, let's talk about a couple of things. I went to, can I write on this board? Absolutely. These are age groups. What does it say? Okay. Think age group 25 to 34. What is this? Think 54, age 54 to 65. Do you know what that graph is? That is, these two towers here represent a rate. If I draw an arrow here, this is a college rate. What I'm telling you by drawing this picture is that today, in the United States of America, there are just as many people aged 54 to 65 graduating from college as there are people ages 25 to 34. Why do you think that is?
Because people don't recognize until later on down the line that education is important.
You shake this man's hand. What's your name again? Deontay, say that one more time.
Because people don't recognize until later down the line that education is important.
Yes. In so many ways, what Deontay says is the truth. Gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, the United States is one of 2 countries on the planet with this kind of graduation rate from college. The reason why is because in our country, unfortunately, this age group right here has decreased the amount of study that we do, the amount of preparation that we take on for college. Now, you all have a beautiful school here, which tells me you have a wonderful opportunity. So I'm just leaning on the statistic here. Across the country, most people ages 25 to 34 don't get it yet. They don't get it yet. So they end up living life, doing what they're going to do, having families, having children. Usually they end up struggling in the workforce a little more than people who do have college degrees. And then by the time they get here, age 54 to 65, they decide, you know what, I need to go get a degree. Well, what typically happens by the age of 54 and 55? You what? Retired. Say it again, young man. What's your name? Angel. You retired, right? What else happens by the age to someone who's 55? The children are gone, right? Children have moved out of the house. You finally get to that point where you get some of your me time back, right? Okay, so what do you think we need to do here? Do you like this picture? What do you think we need to fix?
Realize we need education from the beginning.
Say it again.
Realize we need education from the beginning.
You need your education from the beginning. The same, I learned this, I was hanging out at Michigan State Middle School on November 19th, just last month, where I learned, where we talked about all this information. And he said there's some things that people are able to do more often when they do have college degrees. And I didn't even realize this, but statistics suggest that people with college degrees, first of all, eat healthier food. I never heard that before in my life. Why do you think that is? Yeah, food's expensive, right? Food's not cheap. So a person with a college degree is going to spend more time at Whole Foods than Half Foods, right? They also tend to spend more time doing things like going to museums, going to shows, going to the theater, going to the movies. Why do you think that is? Say it again. Somebody said time and somebody said afford. Who said time? What's your name again? Josh, say that one more time loud. They've got time. Why? Because the typical person who's got a college degree is working a day shift, 9 to 5, 8 to 4, and they're not taking work home. Somebody said they can also afford it. Who said that? What's your name again? Eldrick? Say it again. Eldrick. Okay, I'm sorry. Eldrick said it's because they can afford it. The average college salary for a student with a bachelor's degree is $50,000. The average salary for a student with a master's degree is $69,000 to $70,000. The average salary for somebody who has a doctorate or a PhD is $90,000 to $100,000. There's a big difference. When you make that kind of money, you can do different kind of things with your life. All right? It's not about the money. It's about the choices that you're able to make when you have it. You understand? So, gentlemen, I think the good thing about all of you guys is that you want to go to college. The thing that we need to work on for a few minutes is how you're going to get there, what you're going to do with your time, all right? And what I want to encourage you guys to make a conscious choice to do today is change some of your habits. Because let's face it, some of you all, when you leave here, you do what you do. You spend your time with something. Not everybody in this circle, I'm imagining, is doing something constructive with your time. Doesn't necessarily have to be something bad or illegal, just unconstructive, right? You got any video game players in the room? Okay. You got anybody who spends hours playing video games? A couple? Got any music lovers in the room? Got any MCs, rappers in the room? Okay. I never laugh at the MCs because I'm an MC myself. I just get it. At the end, we got business to handle right now.
All right,
All right, we might have to Okay, so here's the thing. None of those things are bad. Those things are all good. But I would much rather see you designing the game. Who's the designer? I'd rather see you designing the game than just spending all your time playing. All right? Remember, timekeeper went to sleep where the cake's at. That's what I said in my rhyme. The gentleman who made that watch took a whole lot of time to make that. Somebody wanted to look rich and fake that. Timekeeper went to sleep where the cake's at. I would much rather see you become the producer than the consumer. I'd much rather see you making the product than buying the product. You understand? Because the guy who makes the product is the one who makes a living off of the product. The guy who wears the product often looks good losing. And that's what we have to get away from. So, you all have notepads out, right? Everybody have something to write with? My GPA in the 10th grade was what? 1.2. Whoever said 1.5, thank you for giving me 3 extra points. It was a 1.2. Okay. I went and had a conversation with Father Polakowski at my high school. He's passed on. And Father Polakowski sat me down and he used to talk with this very nasally voice. He looked like Santa Claus without the beard. He would look at me, cast his glasses, and say, "Kari, you are not a dumb man. You are a smart man. You just have no idea how to use your time." That's how he talked, just like that. He used to spook me actually, because he was a priest. But Father Polakowski gave me a study plan that I used to this very day. I write books. I didn't mention that. I know Mama Vera wanted me to talk a little bit more about my bio. Aside from, I call her Mama Vera. I should say Miss Coleman since I was, aside from running the Coleman Young Foundation, fellas, I'm an author and I'm a musician. I've been making hip hop music longer than some of you brothers have been living. Say it again? And right, my wife is making sure I say that I'm an entertainment writer. I started off my writing career writing for the Source magazine. I'm the only hip hop journalist in the country with a platinum plaque on his wall, because Notorious B.I.G. took one of my magazine articles and wrote a song on 10 Crack Management. So I got songwriting credit for that. Like I said, when you use your time correctly, sometimes your time has a way of paying you back. I get a check off that record till the day I die. I have a band called Black Bottom Collective and a band called Bush Cadillac. I love to make music. I still get a chance to do all those things. But none of those things would have happened had I not taken some time to figure out how to be constructive with my time. So at the top of your sheets, I'm going to ask you to write these words. 20-minute study plan. Then I want you to write this. How many classes do you guys take a day? 6? All right, 6 to 7. So let's work with 6, okay? Are all of those classes academic classes? How many academic classes do you have? What I want you to draw, what I want you to draw in your notes, and for those of you who don't have something to take notes on, I'm going to ask those of you who are taking notes to be a friend. Lend somebody something to write on, or sometime before the day is out, make sure that they get a copy of this. Can you all do that? Okay. So, when I went to Father Polakowski, I said, "Father, I need to change my grades around." Father Polakowski used to love to read, and I used to love to read. He loved to write. I love to write. So I felt a connection to the guy. And I went and asked him to help me. And he said, all you need to do is come up with a workout plan for your mind. And I was like, I can do that. I was a swimmer. I used to run track. I was very familiar with having to, practice things on a regular basis. He said the mind is a muscle just like a bicep. You have to exercise it in order for it to be strong. If you don't exercise it, it gets weak. You don't retain information. It's that simple. So once he gave me this plan, and I'm going to walk you through it, my GPA went from a 1.2 to a 3.7 in a year and a half. Who listens to music when you study? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Stop. No music. Keep in mind, while you're listening to music and studying, Jay-Z is making $500 million a year, and he's focused. Okay? Stop that. And I'll go back and explain why I'm saying these things. Who waits until late or after sundown to study? Okay. Stop. Okay, so fellas, the rules are simple. Rule number 1, no food, just water. If you eat something, make it like something healthy, fruit. We're going to come back to that. Rule number 2, no music. There have been studies done that show that drums, guitars, electronic instruments distract the mind. Those things are rhythmic, just like your heartbeat. When you hear those things, it makes your thoughts shift and go like this. In solitude and in quiet, when you study, your mind kind of goes like this. So there's a big difference. You need that focus that allows your thoughts to do this, not this. You understand? So as much as I love music, I shut it down when I'm writing. When I write my books, my wife will tell you. She says, my wife says I'm not a friendly guy when I write. And that's because I go in the room, I shut everything down, I close the door, and I get it in. All right? That's my time. So, right after school, why?
Because knowledge is still fresh in your mind.
It's still fresh. It's still fresh. Anybody in here like eating a banana when it's so ripe that it turns black? It's old, it's stale, it's been sitting around. You don't want to study when the stuff that you were just given by an instructor has gotten stale. You gotta hit it hard. You gotta hit it right away. Alright? So, here's the thing. Food is processed. You don't have to write this down. Processed food has sugar, and processed food has a lot of chemical content. Alright? None of those things are natural to the human body, fellas. So when you eat, anybody here ever eat and then get sleepy? He said the itis. That's funny. Yeah. When you eat, you get sleepy because there's something in what you're eating that your body does not like. Food is actually supposed to make you feel energized. That's why I say eat fruit, eat vegetables, something like that, because it keeps your mind active. You know, it's like putting oil in an engine. When you go home and you break open a Snickers bar or something like that, that sugar is refined. That means it's gone through a process, they've done chemicals on it, they've processed it, and then they gave it to you to eat. And it makes you crash. Boom. You can't study like that. You lose it. Alright? Music, we already talked about what music does, and the reason that you do it right after school is because you just learned it. So here's the deal, and this is where I want you to start writing this. Somebody shout out your hardest subject. Alright, so let's go with pre-calculus. Calculus. There, calculus. So let's say you go home, and what I'm doing, guys, what I'm doing is writing hardest. I want you to write down your hardest subject, okay? So, here's the deal. I am Jada. Everybody listen? This is the critical part. Stay focused. I am Jada. I just got out of school. I left university at Prep Day. It's a beautiful day. The Detroit River's looking good. I go home. I drop my books. I get a glass of water. I shut the door. I do whatever. I fire up the computer. I crack my book. And Jalen, your hardest class is what? The one that challenges you the most. Okay, so I break out my geometry homework. Now here's the deal. The reason that I wrote that 20 is because the average 15 to 17-year-old young man has an attention span of 20 minutes. I see a couple heads nod. Why? It's true. It's true. How many of you after 20 minutes, how many of you, as a matter of fact, let me put myself on blast. How many of y'all came in here and said, yo, dude is boring after 20 minutes, I'm out. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm glad you're still sitting there wide-eyed. He's focused. So here's the deal. All right, so here's the deal. The average attention span is 20 minutes. So what you're doing is giving yourself a 20-minute study stretch. Then you're taking a break of how many minutes? 5. Got it. Y'all got it. Thank you. 20 minutes on, 5 minutes off. 20 minutes on, 5 minutes off. This is the part where your discipline has to come into play. You're doing this every day. Every day means at least 6 days a week. Make good use of your Saturday mornings. All right? Y'all still with me? All right, I'm hearing a couple of voices. After your hardest class, what's your second most difficult class? All right, so. Third?
Engineering.
Engineering, okay. Fourth?
Chemistry.
Say again?
Chemistry.
Chemistry. What's the name, young man?
Jalen.
Jalen. All right. Fourth. So remember, what you're doing is writing down your classes. You're not writing hardest, second hardest, third hardest. You're writing down your classes. And what's your least most challenging class?
Economics.
Okay. Remember, your least most challenging academic course. Gym is physical activity. You don't take homework home, Jim?
Yeah.
All right.
It's not really
That's fine. I stand corrected. See, it means your gym has evolved. Because I never got homework for gym. You know. What I'm going to do is learn how to find some dodgeball. So this is how it breaks down, guys. You go home, you start before you give yourself a chance to get into anything else. Hardest class, second most challenging class, third most challenging class, fourth most challenging class, finally your fifth most challenging class. This is where I'm going to challenge each of you. Because when I wrote 20-minute study plan on the board, I overheard somebody say, 20 minutes is a long time. Here's your challenge. Doing this plan every day, you are going to be studying 30, 60, 30, 2 hours, 2.5 hours a day. Okay, so it's 2 hours and 5 minutes, all right? If dedicating 2 hours and 5 minutes of time to your studies without music, without unhealthy food, is going to put you in a position, to succeed at the collegiate level. How many of you think you do it? Okay. That's just about every hand in the room. Fellas, I'm exhibit A. When Father Polakowski gave me that plan, I went home intimidated. I didn't want to do it. But then I looked at my grades, and I saw 4 D's and 2 F's, and I just knew I wasn't representing myself the way that I was raised. I grew up in a house with a principal, that was my mother, and a homicide detective, that was my father. So I said, okay, I'm either going to end up in a classroom like hers or in a morgue like the one Pop goes to every day. I didn't want to deal with Pop's profession. So I decided to give this thing a try. And certain things started to happen. First of all, I found myself ahead of the curve. I would go home on most days, and I didn't have a whole lot of homework to do because I had been doing something every day. When you think about it, all you're really doing is reviewing. Make sense? You're reviewing what you just did, which means you're giving yourself fewer and fewer chances to forget it. It's just like listening to a song on the radio. Name a song on the radio that you don't like, but you know all the words to.
Adorn.
Don't like.
So scared.
Adorn, say it again. Yes. Love so. Okay.
Call me maybe. I like some.
Call me maybe. Okay. You know every word to that song, right?
Somewhat.
And you don't like it.
No.
Why do you know every word?
Because it's getting in your head and you keep playing over and over again. You can't help it.
Say that one more time. Y'all listen.
It gets in your head and it gets stuck in there and you just can't help but know all the words.
Right. All you're doing is taking this information, putting it in your head, and giving it a chance to get stuck there. Make sense? Now there's some byproducts to this that can be kind of beneficial. All right. First of all, if you're going home and you're taking time as soon as you get there to focus on this, you're giving yourself fewer and fewer opportunities to find trouble elsewhere. All right? Fewer. First of all, you focus now. Remember? You're focused. You're giving yourself fewer opportunities to find negative activity. The other thing is that you're preparing yourself for the way you will have to study when you get to college. Because, trust me, it's a tripped out feeling that first day of school when your alarm clock goes off and it hits you. I don't have to get up if I don't want to. You're on your own now when it's your choice. When you get to that point, guys, you're going to need that discipline to pull yourself up and get yourself up. So you're getting an early start on it now. All right?
What happens when you go to preach or something?
Good question. Did you all hear that?
I didn't.
The question was, what happens when you don't complete an assignment in 20 minutes? It's like rollover minutes. Tell me your name again. Dorian? It is. It's like rollover minutes. If you don't complete it, then this just rolls over. Okay, that's supposed to be stupid. Sorry. I get that. I don't know what I was wrong. So it rolls over. Okay? If you don't finish, look, that was supposed to be an error. I really give up. I'm a writer, not an artist. All right. So everything just rolls over until you finish. Okay? So that 2 hours and 5 minutes might be a little longer, and that's okay. You'll find that if you do this every day, that time gets shorter and shorter and shorter. And then you'll find that at some point, you'll have a pace, and you'll be in shape. Question?
It's not 2 hours and 5 minutes. It's an hour.
What is it? I was at, I have no problem, right?
It's an hour and 55?
Yeah, 5 subjects.
Okay. Fellas, will you do me a favor? Let me know how it goes. Trying this. Okay? Ms. Smith has my card, my information. I would love to get feedback from you. I'm giving you the plan that turned my life around. I became all right after this. I was fine. Say it again.
Full circle.
Okay. So,
Full circle.
what do you mean?
The fact that you graduated and you have your master's, you got a 3.7 GPA and your master's diploma.
That's true. Marry a good woman, fellas. I did. I ended up graduating. I ended up getting my master's degree. My wife was saying that I got a 3.7 GPA. And the most important thing for me is that I found it in my life. This process applies to just about everything I do. So now I have the responsibility for running an entire company. I run a whole organization. My organization is a proud organization. We have 400 scholars like yourself. 90% of those young people have graduated. 90%. There's no other scholarship foundation in the area with a graduation rate like my organization. And now I'm responsible for keeping that going. So every day when I go in, I start my day with a to-do list that's set up according to this study plan here. And I've shared it, and I'll continue to share it. So when you try it, I want to hear progress reports, all right? Do you have any questions? Say it again. Thank you. Thank you.
I can't cook these in the dog for the first week, like to 15 or something.
Say it again.
I can't cook them in the dog for the first week for like 15 or something.
You can. Tell me more. Why do you want to do that?
So it's like, we get out of basketball practice like real late, around the dorm, then when I was 16, 15.
Okay. What's your name again?
John.
Dejan? Dejan, that's real. Thank you for sharing that. you have life to live, right? You have lives to live. You have responsibilities at home. I understand that. So, Dejan, if you change this to 15 minutes, if you need to, that's fine. But what you have to remember is the rollover effect. What you don't complete in 15 minutes, take your breaks and just roll it over, okay? You don't want to cut yourself down so much that you don't complete assignments. That's the key, all right? So, and you never know. You may find that starting with 15 gives you an opportunity to build up to 20. So, keep that in mind as well, too, all right? So the answer to your question is yes, you can. Any other questions?
But if you lower the study time, then you should lower the amount of, the break time too.
Ooh. Now you guys are getting economic. Did y'all get that?
If you lower the amount of study time, then you should lower the amount of break time.
Angel's suggestion was that if you lower the amount of study time, you should probably lower your break time. I like that idea. You see what he's doing, Dejan? He's budgeting his time. Now you're managing your time. All right, kudos. So, yeah, maybe take this down from 5 minutes to 3. Because remember, you're not taking 5 minutes to turn it on any music or eating food. You're just giving yourself a rest break. Okay? It's like doing push-ups, and then you stop, you pause. All right? Make sense? Any other questions?
Well, I don't think row 3 is possible.
Why not?
Because I got some bus.
But as soon as you get
It
home,
take me 3.5.
3.5? What do you do on the bus?
study.
No, it's impossible. I tried that already.
Oh, wow.
Trust me.
Okay.
Especially when the kids used to get out of school, they're trying to start trouble.
Okay.
So you just keep your hand
Okay, so I see the context. The bus is live. These are excellent questions, guys, because the truth is, this is a plan that you have to tailor to fit your life, right? So let's think about that. Then when would you start?
7:30.
PM? Okay, how's your energy at 7:30?
And I eat dinner when I get home first.
Okay.
And then after that, I'm
Pretty good. Okay. So that's the situation. Work with the situation. It's just that simple. And the good thing about you, Deontay, is like you said, you have a very good memory. So maybe you and Dejan start with the same plan. 15 minutes on, 3 minutes off. You just roll over what you don't finish. Okay? Is any of this not making sense to anybody? Everybody gets it? By a show of hands, how many of you think you can do this? Okay. Say it again. Tell me your name one more time. Josh's question was, where will you be if you don't take breaks? What makes that question interesting, Josh, is I actually got to a point where I stopped taking breaks. Okay? I stopped taking breaks. Anybody here do push-ups on a regular basis? Okay. Who remembers the very first time you tried to do push-ups? How many did you do?
Two.
2? Okay. And how many did you work with me on this? How many did you do the next time?
4.
5. The next time. After that. After that. After that. Okay, so what's my point? What's my point? Say it again, Abe. Everybody stop talking for a minute. Say it again, Abe.
Muscle power. You keep building up your muscles.
Keep building up your muscle power. So you get to a point where all this stuff here, you don't even need it. You don't. Because now you've built up to the point where, first of all, along with your muscle power, your attention span increases. You go to 30, you go to 40, you go to 50. Check it out. By the time you get to college, you'll be sitting in lecture halls like this where the class is 90 minutes. And there's 100 people in the class. So wouldn't you like to be at a point where your attention span is so strong that that's nothing? You can easily sit in the class and pay that kind of attention? Wouldn't that be nice? Yes. All right. So it's just like doing push-ups. The first time, 20 minutes. Maybe a week after that, 25, 30 minutes. Maybe it starts getting good to you. 30, 40 minutes. All right? Maybe it actually gets to the point where it's fun. This is what I do. You know, I stay focused. I get it in. I make it work. All right? So I asked, who sees yourself being able to do this? You all raised your hand, yes. I asked if anybody didn't understand this. Nobody raised their hands. My third question is, how many of you are going to commit to trying this? I appreciate that. All right. It worked for me. I'm very confident it'll work for you too. Okay? Last thing, write this down. C-A-Y, F is in Frank, .org. CAYF.org. That's my website. That's ColemanAyoungFoundation.org. All right? My name, Howard Turner. Okay? The application period for the Coleman Young Scholarship is January. So I would encourage all of you, especially if you're a junior, start looking at our website. You can apply now. You can apply as a junior. Start checking out our website. We're getting ready to update it now. You'll be able to download the application. You can submit it by mail or electronically. Okay? So January is home.